The stars above the Union Capitol Station burned like silver lanterns in an endless ocean of black. Inside the great ring of the station, 1,000 alien voices filled the air with music, debate, and laughter. Delegates from 100 worlds walked across bright glass bridges, their shapes and colors reflecting the diversity of the galaxy. There were tall beings with crystal skin, small ones wrapped in feathered robes, and others who floated like glowing clouds. All of them had gathered for a single event, the Grand War Games of the Galactic Union. The War Games were held once every cycle to show the strength and skill of the member species. It was not a real war, but a series of contests, tests of speed, endurance, strategy, and courage. Each planet sent their best soldiers. For the old and powerful civilizations, the games were a chance to remind everyone of their dominance. For younger worlds, it was a way to earn respect. This year, a new name on the list of competitors drew more attention than any other. Earth humans had joined the Union only 12 years ago. Compared to the 1,000-year histories of other species, they were still newcomers. Their small blue planet had only recently discovered faster-than-light travel. Many alien leaders had agreed to accept Earth into the Union because humans were clever engineers and valuable traders. But almost no one saw them as a military power. In the great halls of the station, jokes about humans spread like starlight. "Will the soft-skins even survive the first round?" asked a Coran general, his voice like grinding stone. "Perhaps they will send poets instead of soldiers," laughed a delegate from the shimmering Scythari, whose body sparkled like 1,000 diamonds. Even the usually quiet Drevik strategists allowed themselves a smile. The common belief was simple. Humans were fragile. Their bones were thin compared to the armored shells of the Threks. Their muscles were weak beside the mighty Hulth, who could lift cargo ships with a single limb. Their lifespans were short next to the long-lived elders of the Ivor. In the eyes of the galaxy, Earth was a young world of dreamers, creative, yes, but hardly dangerous. Still, a few voices refused to join the laughter. In a dim meeting room beneath the station's command tower, Admiral Zorvek of the Verni studied a glowing map of Earth. His wide black eyes reflected the spinning blue sphere. "Do not underestimate them," he warned his fellow officers. "Their history is full of wars, disasters, and survival. They have fought each other for thousands of years and still rise stronger each time." A Drevik tactician tilted his scaled head. "But Admiral, their weapons are primitive. Their fleets are small. Their numbers are limited." Zorvek tapped a claw against the map. "Numbers and weapons are not the heart of power. It is the will to fight. I have read their records. Their soldiers have faced storms, famine, and endless conflict. They adapt. They endure. That is a force no measurement can capture." His warning was met with silence, but the others soon shrugged it off. To them, humans were only an amusing curiosity. Far away in a quiet corner of the station, a small group of human diplomats prepared for the coming days. Ambassador Elena Ruiz looked out at the swirling stars, her face calm but thoughtful. Around her stood officers from the United Earth Defense Corps. They were not tall giants or glowing beings. They looked almost ordinary in their simple uniforms, yet each carried themselves with a quiet strength. "Tomorrow the games begin," Elena said, turning to her team. "The other species expect us to fail. They think we are weak. But we know our strength does not lie in size or raw power. We will show them what humans can do." Captain Mira Solon, the leader of Earth's soldier delegation, gave a small nod. She was not a loud or imposing figure. Her dark hair was tied back and her eyes were steady and sharp. "We do not need to impress them," she said. "We need only to compete with everything we have. Let them laugh tonight. Tomorrow they will see." The soldiers exchanged quiet smiles. Each of them came from different corners of Earth, mountains, deserts, and deep oceans. They had trained in gravity fields, freezing moons, and blistering heat. They knew hardship as an old friend. Their weapons and armor were modest compared to the shining suits of other worlds, but every piece was tested under fire. They trusted their minds and teamwork more than any machine. As the night cycle passed, the station grew even more alive. Thousands of spectators arrived, filling the grand arena that floated above the planet-sized ring. The arena was a masterpiece of alien design, a floating sphere of transparent crystal, big enough to hold entire forests, lakes, and battlefields within. Lights from distant suns reflected across its surface like a living jewel. On the morning of the opening ceremony, the delegates from each world marched into the arena. The crowd erupted in cheers and flashing lights as towering warriors and shining machines took their places. The Threx carried plasma hammers that burned like small stars. The Hulth wore armor plates as thick as fortress walls. The Sithari glowed in dazzling patterns that blinded the eye. When the announcer finally called for the human team, a ripple of laughter moved through the audience. Spectators leaned forward, eager for amusement. Surely the humans would look small and awkward next to such mighty beings. A hush followed as the humans stepped onto the platform. They marched in perfect formation, 6 soldiers and their captain. Their armor was simple, matte gray with small streaks of blue, but every movement showed purpose. Their helmets rested under their arms, revealing calm, focused faces. Their eyes scanned the arena with quiet calculation, noting every exit, every weapon, every angle of attack. Something in their posture made the laughter fade. There was no fear, no nervousness. Instead, there was the sharp alertness of predators who had walked dangerous ground before. Even those who mocked them felt a small chill. The announcer introduced Captain Mira Solon. She raised a hand in brief salute, her expression unreadable. "The people of Earth thank the Union for this honor," she said through the universal translator. Her voice was steady and clear. "We come to compete, to learn, and to stand as equals." Her words were polite, almost humble, but to those who listened carefully, there was an edge of iron beneath the calm. Across the arena, Admiral Zorvek watched from the command balcony. He felt a strange tension in the air, like the quiet before a storm. His black eyes narrowed as he studied the human soldiers. They were not large, not heavily armed, yet something in their gaze unsettled him. He remembered the ancient saying of his people, "Fear the small ones who do not tremble." The games had not yet begun, but already the mood had changed. The laughter of the crowd softened to uneasy whispers. The galaxy had expected a harmless spectacle. Instead, they sensed the arrival of something unexpected, something that could not be measured by size or technology. Captain Mira Solon gave a final nod to her team. "Tomorrow," she said softly, "we show them who we are." And as the humans turned to leave the platform, the stars outside the arena seemed to burn a little brighter, as if they too sensed that the coming days would change the galaxy forever. The first day of the Grand War Games arrived like a slow sunrise over the Galactic Union capital station. From every docking port, shuttles released streams of visitors into the great arena. Light from a dozen suns reflected across the crystal walls, turning the sky into a sea of gold and silver. Crowds filled the observation platforms until the air itself seemed to vibrate with excitement. Delegates, traders, and curious travelers all wanted to witness the first event. Inside the human quarters, Captain Mira Solon stood before a wide glass window and watched the arena wake. She felt the faint hum of the station's engines beneath her boots. Around her, the soldiers of the United Earth Defense Corps checked their equipment with quiet focus. Armor plates clicked into place. Energy packs glowed with steady light. Their weapons were sleek and simple, designed for accuracy and reliability rather than show. "Any last thoughts?" Mira asked her team. Sergeant Daniel Rios tightened the strap of his helmet and gave a calm smile. "Only that the crowd is louder than a launch bay." Lieutenant Sana Patel adjusted her wrist communicator. "They expect a circus. Let's give them a lesson instead." The others nodded, each movement controlled and precise. They had trained for years not to impress but to survive. Every member of the squad came from a different corner of Earth. Icy mountain bases, desert training camps, deep ocean labs. Each carried a history of challenge and adaptation. They were not the strongest or fastest soldiers in the galaxy, but together they were something rare. Humans who knew how to think as one mind. A soft chime signaled the call to assemble. The first event would begin in less than an hour. Mira turned to her team. "Remember," she said, "we are here to compete, not to prove anger. Let them see discipline. Let them see humanity." The squad followed her out of the quarters and into the long corridors of the station. The walls glowed with gentle blue light, showing the way toward the massive arena gates. As they walked, alien spectators turned their heads to stare. Some whispered. Others laughed behind shimmering masks. To many, the humans still looked like children among giants. High above, in the council observation deck, Admiral Zorvek of the Verni watched the humans approach through a tactical lens. He studied their steady pace and unshaken expressions. Around him, other commanders exchanged amused comments. Such small frames, said a Huth warlord, his armored body towering like a living mountain. "One good charge and they will scatter." A Scythari delegate let out a ripple of sparkling laughter. "They walk as if they carry secrets, but what secrets can flesh and bone hide?" Zorvek did not answer. His black eyes remained fixed on the human captain. Something about her calm gaze reminded him of a storm hidden behind a quiet sea. The gates of the arena opened with a deep, ringing note. A burst of light flooded the entrance tunnel. The human team stepped into the crystal sphere, and the roar of the crowd rolled across the chamber like thunder. The arena floor stretched for kilometers, a living landscape shaped by advanced technology. Hills of artificial rock rose beside wide rivers of shining water. Floating platforms drifted above forests of silver trees. This first contest, called the Endless Course, tested endurance and adaptability. Teams would race across the terrain, overcome environmental traps, and retrieve coded beacons. Speed was important, but strategy would decide the winner. One by one, the delegations of other species entered the field. The massive Threx warriors clanked forward in heavy battle suits. The Huth stormed in with ground-shaking steps, their thick armor glowing with built-in shields. The Sithari floated like radiant comets, their light bending around them in dazzling patterns. Each team received waves of cheers and brilliant flashes from the audience. When the announcer called for Earth, a new ripple of sound filled the arena. Some clapped politely. Others chuckled. A few shouted playful warnings in a dozen alien languages. The humans marched out in perfect formation, their boots striking the crystal ground with even rhythm. Their armor did not shine. Their weapons did not glitter, but their movements carried a sharp precision that slowly silenced the laughter. Captain Mira Solon stepped forward to acknowledge the audience. She gave a single crisp salute, then turned her gaze toward the field. The translator broadcast her short greeting across the arena. "Team Earth is ready." Her voice was calm, but it carried a steady confidence that reached every corner of the chamber. Even the noisiest spectators fell quiet for a heartbeat. The starting signal flashed in a burst of white light. All at once, the field erupted into action. The Threx launched forward with heavy strides, breaking through the first line of obstacles with sheer force. The Scythari streaked upward on wings of light, using the floating platforms to gain early advantage. The Huth moved like living tanks, smashing through walls and clearing wide paths for their runners. The humans did not rush. Instead, Captain Solon raised a hand and gave a silent signal. Her team spread out in a tight pattern, each member taking a calculated path. Sergeant Rios led the left flank, moving with surprising speed over uneven terrain. Lieutenant Patel directed the right, marking hidden hazards on her wrist console. Two others took the high ground on a cluster of hovering rocks, scanning for enemy movements. Spectators leaned forward, confused. The humans were not chasing the first beacon. They were mapping the course, marking traps, and sharing information with quick hand signals. Where other teams focused on speed, the humans focused on control. Halfway through the first section, the arena shifted. A sudden gravity surge pulled runners toward a deep pit. Many alien athletes stumbled, their heavy armor dragging them down. A Threx warrior roared in frustration as he slid across the ground. The humans reacted instantly. Mira shouted a single word, "Anchor," and her team activated magnetic boots. They formed a chain, each pulling the next to stable ground. Within seconds, they were moving again unharmed. The audience gasped. "Interesting," murmured Admiral Zorvek from the council deck. "They do not fight the course. They bend with it." The second challenge was a maze of shifting walls. The Sithari, light and fast, darted through first, their glowing bodies slipping between closing panels. The humans arrived moments later but did not split apart. Instead, they advanced as a single unit, reading the rhythm of the moving walls. Captain Solon gave soft, clear commands. "Left turn, hold, forward now." And her team followed without hesitation. They emerged from the maze faster than the Huth and nearly matched the Sithari, despite lacking their natural speed. By the time the humans reached the final beacon, the crowd was no longer laughing. Voices rose in a low, excited hum. The fragile newcomers were not only surviving, they were competing at the highest level. In the last stretch, a surprise storm swept across the field. Lightning arced between floating platforms. Rain hammered the crystal ground, turning slopes into rivers. The Threx slowed under the weight of their armor. The Sithari's light patterns flickered in the heavy rain. The humans pressed forward, Rain soaked their suits, but they used it to their advantage. Magnetic boots gripped the wet surfaces. Their helmets adjusted to the sudden darkness. When a bolt of lightning struck a nearby ridge, Sergeant Rios shouted a warning and guided his teammate away in time. Finally, with a final burst of speed, the human squad reached the beacon and raised their signal lights. They were not first, but they were close behind the Sithari, and well ahead of several veteran teams. The arena exploded with sound, cheers, shouts, and even a few startled cries. The humans had not won the race, but they had done something more powerful. They had shown adaptability, teamwork, and calm under chaos that no one had expected. From the observation deck, Admiral Zorvek watched the human captain raise her flag. He felt a deep unease settle in his chest. "They are not the fastest," he said quietly to himself. "But speed is not the heart of victory. They learn. They endure. They will not break." Captain Mira Solon turned her face toward the council seats. Her eyes met the distant glow of the command balcony for a single silent moment. She did not smile, but there was a steady fire in her gaze. Across the galaxy, the laughter that had greeted the humans began to fade. In its place grew something new: curiosity, respect, and the first quiet hints of fear. The second day of the Grand War Games began with a silence that felt heavier than the station's metal walls. Where there had been laughter on the first morning, there was now a careful hush. News of the humans' surprising performance in the Endless Course had spread across every hall and docking bay. Spectators from 100 worlds returned to the arena, no longer expecting an easy spectacle. They came with cautious eyes and curious minds. Inside the human quarters, Captain Mira Solon reviewed the day's schedule on a glowing wall screen. 2 new events awaited the teams: the Gauntlet of Strength and the Labyrinth of Minds. The first would test raw power, speed, and close combat. The second would challenge strategy and intelligence through a complex simulation of war. Sergeant Daniel Rios leaned against the wall, his helmet under one arm. "They chose these events for a reason," he said quietly. "They think we can adapt to obstacles, but not to raw force." Lieutenant Sana Patel adjusted her gloves with steady hands. "Good. Let them underestimate us again. The gauntlet isn't only about muscle. It's about endurance. That is what humans do best." Mira studied her team. Their faces were calm, but she knew the weight they carried. "Remember," she said, "every step we take shows them what Earth is made of. We win by staying smart. We stay smart by staying together." The arena gates opened with a deep echoing note. A fresh surge of light poured into the chamber. The teams entered one by one. The Threx warriors thundered forward, their massive frames gleaming in heavy combat suits. The Hulth followed with ground-shaking steps, their natural armor reinforced with shimmering shields. The Scytheri floated in brilliant arcs of light, their energy forms bending gravity itself. When the humans marched into the arena, the crowd no longer laughed. Their entrance brought a quiet murmur instead, a ripple of respect mixed with something colder. Many eyes followed Captain Solon as she led her team to the starting line. The Gauntlet of Strength appeared before them like a living mountain. Massive stone-like platforms rose and fell across the field, each coated in shifting force fields. Walls of energy blocked some paths, while rotating blades of harmless but forceful plasma threatened to knock competitors into deep pits. The challenge was simple: carry weighted cores from one end of the field to the other while avoiding traps and interference from rival teams. The signal flashed. The Threx exploded into motion first, their huge bodies leaping across the platforms with thunderous power. They carried the heavy cores as if they were pebbles. The Hulth advanced in a shielded formation, smashing through barriers with sheer brute strength. The Sithari darted forward in glowing streaks, slipping between traps like beams of light. The humans moved last. Instead of a frantic charge, they began with a quick scan of the field. Mira's voice came calm and firm over the comm channel. "Team 2 left. Team 3 center. Watch the gravity shifts. Move." Sergeant Rios took the lead, his boots clamping to a rising platform. Private Iko Tan swept behind him, reading the pattern of force fields and calling out safe routes. The humans moved like a single machine, each member balancing the heavy cores on magnetic harnesses while adjusting to the constantly changing terrain. Halfway through the course, a sudden surge of gravity tilted the platforms toward a deep pit. Several Hulth warriors stumbled. A Threx soldier roared as his core slipped from his grasp and vanished into the void. The humans reacted instantly. Lieutenant Patel signaled a chain maneuver. Each soldier locked boots to the platform and passed the cores along the line with practiced precision. Even as the ground tilted, they kept their balance, moving forward without losing a single load. The crowd erupted with startled cheers. It was not the strongest team that advanced the fastest. It was the team that adapted the quickest. The final stretch of the gauntlet required lifting the weighted cores onto a high platform. The Threx reached it first, relying on pure muscle to hurl the heavy spheres upward. Their massive throws sent shockwaves through the platform, but their aim wavered under the shifting gravity. Several cores bounced back down, forcing them to start again. The humans arrived moments later. Instead of throwing, they used portable grapples to guide each core upward with careful timing. Sergeant Rios gave soft commands, and each soldier adjusted the angle of their grapples to counter the gravity surges. One by one, their cores locked into place with quiet precision. When the final signal sounded, the humans stood second overall, behind only the Threx by a narrow margin. The crowd cheered wildly. Strength, it seemed, was not only about muscle. Admiral Zorvek watched from the council balcony, his black eyes narrowing. "They turn every contest into a lesson," he said softly. "The galaxy will not forget this day." But the games were far from over. The teams were given a brief rest before the next event, the Labyrinth of Minds. Unlike the physical challenges, this was a battle of pure strategy. Each team would enter a massive holographic simulation of war. The goal was to capture strategic zones and outmaneuver opponents using limited resources. The labyrinth constantly shifted, creating new pathways and hidden traps. As the humans prepared, Mira gathered her team in a tight circle. "This is our ground," she said. "The labyrinth rewards creativity. We do not fight with strength. We fight with ideas. Trust each other. Share what you see. Surprise them." The soldiers placed their hands together in a brief, silent pledge. Then they stepped into the glowing entrance. The holographic world unfolded around them in a blaze of light. Towering cliffs rose beside dark forests. Rivers of molten light cut through the terrain. Enemy signals flashed across their scanners as the other teams spread through the labyrinth. Captain Solon activated the squad's shared map. "We take the northern ridge," she said. "Control the high ground first. Rios, Patel, you're with me. Tan, secure the east path. Watch for Scythari flares." The team moved with sharp precision. While the Threx focused on direct assaults and the Hulth formed heavy defensive lines, the humans used speed and misdirection. They set traps, triggered false signals, and lured larger teams into ambush zones. At one critical moment, a Scythari squad attempted to capture a key energy node. Mira signaled for a shadow strike. Sergeant Rios led a silent flank, using the holographic fog to mask their approach. The humans activated a false retreat, drawing the Scythari deeper into a narrow canyon. When the enemy committed their forces, Lieutenant Patel triggered a hidden energy surge that sealed the canyon walls. The node was captured without a single direct clash. Spectators in the real arena gasped and shouted. The simulation displayed every move on massive screens. They watched the humans outthink teams with centuries of experience, using deception and teamwork that no artificial intelligence could predict. As the labyrinth neared its end, the humans faced the final challenge, a sudden shift in terrain that split their squad into isolated pockets. Communication dropped to static. Most teams panicked, losing their formations. Captain Solon remained calm. "Fall back to pattern 7, she said over the faint channel. "Trust the rhythm." Each soldier moved as if guided by instinct. They remembered the countless drills on Earth, night raids in freezing blizzards, survival games in deserts, silent marches through dense jungles. Those memories shaped their reflexes now. Without needing constant orders, they regrouped in less than 3 minutes. When the final signal sounded, the scoreboard flickered across the holographic sky. First place, Team Earth. The arena erupted in thunderous applause. Some species cheered openly. Others stared in stunned silence. The humans had not only survived a contest of strategy, they had dominated it. In the council balcony, Admiral Zorvek turned to the gathered leaders. "Now you see," he said quietly. "Strength is not the only danger. A mind that learns cannot be stopped." Captain Mira Solon removed her helmet as the simulation dissolved around her. She looked up at the council seats, her expression calm but unyielding. The lights of the arena reflected in her eyes like twin stars. Across the galaxy, messages raced from station to station. The laughter that had greeted the humans only days before was gone. In its place spread a new thought, one that carried both admiration and unease. The humans had shown more than skill. They had revealed a truth that could not be ignored. A species that adapts to every challenge will one day be impossible to defeat. The Grand Council of the Galactic Union convened behind closed doors, in a chamber that floated high above the arena. Its walls shimmered with energy shields, and the ceiling reflected the distant stars like a river of diamonds. Here the leaders of 100 species gathered to discuss matters of importance: war, peace, trade, and diplomacy. Today the chamber buzzed with tension, a feeling that had never been so heavy in the history of the Union. News from the first 2 days of the Grand War Games had reached them in real time. Every holographic display showed humans navigating deadly courses with calm precision, outmatching veteran teams in strategy and endurance. The laughter that had greeted Earth's entry was long gone. Admiral Zorvek of the Verni stood at the head of the council table. His black eyes scanned the room, noting the uneasy expressions on faces of every leader present. The hulking Threx general shifted uncomfortably, his claws drumming on the table. A glowing Scythari delegate pulsed lightly, a visual sign of agitation among her kind. Even the normally stoic Drevik tacticians whispered among themselves. "Explain to me again," Threx General Kroth rumbled. "How such fragile beings, humans, can move and react like this?" Zorvek's claw traced the holographic map of Earth. "It is not just movement or reflex. It is their mind. Humans have endured wars, natural disasters, and survival against impossible odds on their home planet. Their victories are not by force alone. They adapt. They anticipate. They act together as a single unit." The Scythari delegate shimmered brighter, a sign of agitation. "But that is impossible. We have trained for centuries. We have technology far beyond their primitive world. How can they match us?" "They do not need to match us in technology," Zorvek said quietly, almost to himself. "They use what they have to its fullest. And that is the danger." Some leaders shook their heads. "Danger?" whispered a small, feathered species. "They are children compared to our armies." Zorvek's gaze swept across the room. "Children? They learn faster than we anticipate. They use the chaos of the battlefield to their advantage. Do you not see? They survive not because of size or strength, but because they refuse to be defeated." The council fell silent. Each leader began to recall reports of Earth's history. Humans had fought wars against impossible odds, surviving invasions, natural disasters, and internal conflicts. Their cities had been rebuilt multiple times. Their fleets, though small, had managed to protect entire planets from pirates and raiders. "Perhaps we underestimated them," said an elder of the Ivor, a species whose lifespan measured in thousands of years. Her translucent hands hovered over the table, tracing lines on the holographic map. "They have not been here long, yet they move as if they have seen centuries of warfare. Their minds operate differently." A Hulth general slammed his fist. "Different does not mean dangerous." Zorvek did not reply immediately. He let the tension build, watching the leaders squirm. "Dangerous enough to make us reconsider the way we think of war. The humans are learning. Every trial teaches them more. By the end of the games, they will understand our strengths and weaknesses better than we understand each other." A murmur ran through the council. The realization settled in. If humans could outthink veteran teams in a controlled competition, what might they do in a real war? "Are you suggesting we fear them?" the Threx general asked, his voice low. "No," Zorvek replied. "Not fear, respect, and caution. Humans are not predictable. They are not bound by centuries of the same tactics. They improvise, adapt, and endure. A species that can do that is not easily defeated." The Drevik tacticians shared quick calculations. Even in simulations, humans were outperforming teams twice their size. Their strategies avoided direct confrontation when unnecessary and used the environment to their advantage. Every trial revealed another layer of their ingenuity. "Yet they are few in number," said a small delegate with wings folded neatly against its back. "Even if clever, can they truly pose a threat?" Zorvek's eyes narrowed. "Numbers mean nothing if those few are better prepared, faster to adapt, and unafraid to take risks. History shows it repeatedly. Smaller human forces have survived when all logic said they should fail. That is why we must take them seriously." The council began to discuss contingencies. Would the Union need to limit Earth's access to strategic knowledge? Should their technology be monitored more closely? Some argued for patience, suggesting the humans were still learning that a species so small would eventually falter. Zorvek shook his head. We cannot afford to assume they will falter. Their history teaches us that assumption is fatal. Every encounter they survive strengthens them. Every trial teaches them new ways to survive and succeed. The time to be cautious is now. One by one, the leaders voiced similar concerns. The Scythari delegate, who had once laughed at the humans' arrival, now shimmered with unease. If they are capable of this in games, what could they do in a true conflict? Zorvek gestured to a record of Earth's past victories. Look here. Humans have survived floods, earthquakes, famine, invasions, and internal wars. They build, adapt, and rise again. They cooperate when necessary, but they also fight relentlessly when pressed. That combination is rare in the galaxy. An elder Ivor nodded slowly. I see now why their performance is not merely skill. It is culture. A way of life forged by survival. We have judged them as weak, but they are anything but. Then what do we do? Asked the Threx general. His large form towered over the table. We cannot fight them preemptively. That would violate every law we have. Yet ignoring them is foolish. Zorvek leaned back. We observe. We respect. We prepare. Let the games continue. Let the galaxy see them in motion. Every team will have to adjust, and we will watch how humans react. Their greatest weapon is the combination of their mind and will. That is what we must study. For the first time in the history of the Union, a species was being treated not as a curiosity, but as a potential equal, perhaps even a threat. As the council session ended, the leaders departed silently. Some were deep in thought. Others whispered quietly to aides. None dared speak loudly of underestimating the humans again. Even those who had once dismissed Earth as a minor world now felt the weight of what had been witnessed in the arena. Meanwhile, Captain Mira Solon and her team prepared for the next phase of the games. They had no knowledge of the council's discussions, nor did they need it. Their minds were focused on the tasks ahead. Each soldier reviewed their strategies quietly, checked their equipment, and practiced maneuvers. They trusted each other fully, knowing that unity was their true advantage. Mira stood on the observation balcony, looking out at the swirling stars beyond the arena. They will talk, she said softly to herself. They will speculate. But our task is clear: compete, survive, and show what humans can do. In the far reaches of the station, messages traveled at light speed from observer to observer. Across 100 worlds, the story of Earth's performance spread. From amusement to surprise, from curiosity to quiet alarm, the galaxy was beginning to see the humans in a new light. Back in the arena, the stage was being prepared for the next round of trials. Simulated battles, obstacle challenges, and strategic competitions awaited all teams. The humans were ready, but what awaited them was not just the games. It was the first moment the galaxy began to take them seriously. As the sun of the nearby star system cast long shadows across the crystalline floor of the arena, Captain Mira Solon looked at her team. Their faces were calm, their eyes sharp. She could feel the weight of expectation, the unspoken attention of the galaxy. Tomorrow, she said quietly, we show them that humans are more than endurance and strategy. We show them that our will cannot be measured. The soldiers nodded, and one by one they returned to their quarters. Yet the calm of their departure could not hide the growing unease among the observers. Across the stars, whispers of caution began to spread. The galaxy had laughed when humans arrived. Now that laughter was turning into something else: respect, curiosity, and the first stirrings of fear. The Grand Council had begun to see the truth. Humans were not just clever or adaptable. They were a force unlike any other. And if the games continued, the galaxy would soon learn that Earth's soldiers were capable of more than anyone had imagined. For the first time, a quiet thought settled in the minds of the Union's leaders. If these humans ever chose to fight, the galaxy would never be the same. The final day of the Grand War Games arrived with a quiet intensity. The arena was alive with anticipation, though this time the usual cheers and laughter were replaced by a mixture of awe and nervous tension. The galaxy had watched the humans adapt, endure, and outthink every challenge. Now all eyes turned toward the last event, the Grand Combat Trial, a combination of strategy, strength, and adaptability. Victory here would not only determine the champion of the games, but would leave a lasting mark on the entire Union. Captain Myra Solon stood in the human quarters, overlooking the arena from a high observation balcony. Her team was assembled and ready. Their faces were calm, their postures disciplined. Every movement was precise, every gesture controlled. They had trained for this moment, yet they did not rush. Humans thrived under pressure, and Myra knew that patience could turn the tide as effectively as any weapon. "Remember," she said quietly, addressing her team, "this is not just about winning. It is about showing what humans can do together. Watch each other, trust each other, and act as one. Nothing else matters." Lieutenant Sana Patel nodded. "They have underestimated us every day. Today they will see that humans are more than they imagine." Sergeant Daniel Rios tightened his harness. "Let them come. We are ready." The humans left the quarters, stepping into the arena with measured, confident strides. The crystal floor reflected their forms as if the stars themselves followed them. The other teams were already in position. Some glared, some whispered, and others simply watched, uncertain how to approach the small, seemingly fragile humans. The arena shifted to reveal the trial, a massive battlefield filled with shifting terrain, hazardous zones, and multiple objectives. Teams would have to capture key points, secure resources, and adapt to environmental changes while contending with rival competitors. Unlike previous events, this trial required the perfect combination of speed, intelligence, and adaptability. The signal sounded, and the trial began. The Threx charged forward, their massive limbs shaking the arena. The Hulth advanced in heavy formations. The Sithari streaked through the air in dazzling arcs of light. And the humans? They moved in a coordinated pattern, scanning the terrain, analyzing every hazard, and positioning themselves with precision that belied their size. From the council balcony, Admiral Zorvek leaned forward. "Watch them closely," he murmured. "Every movement has purpose. They are not fast or strong in the conventional sense, yet everything they do is calculated. They learn from the environment as they move." The humans split into tactical groups, each assigned to secure specific points. Sergeant Rios and Private Iko Tan took the eastern ridge, using natural cover to advance while monitoring rival teams. Lieutenant Patel led a maneuver to control the central zone, predicting enemy movements before they occurred. Captain Myra Solon moved with the Central Command Unit, observing, signaling, and making decisions that allowed her team to exploit openings with astonishing precision. The other teams struggled. The Threx relied on raw strength, often breaking their formation under pressure. The Hulth tried to overwhelm the humans with force, only to be led into cleverly prepared traps. The Sithari's speed allowed them to capture some objectives, but the humans anticipated their routes, cutting off opportunities with clever misdirection. Halfway through the trial, the arena introduced sudden environmental hazards, shifting gravity zones, bursts of simulated lightning, and moving platforms. Many teams faltered, caught unprepared by the rapidly changing conditions. The humans adapted instantly. Each soldier adjusted their stance, recalibrated their equipment, and communicated silently through hand signals and wrist devices. When a floating platform began to tilt dangerously, Sergeant Rios anchored the team with magnetic grips while Lieutenant Patel redirected the group toward stable ground. Not a single human fell or lost control of their objectives. Spectators watched in stunned silence. The humans were not the largest, nor the fastest, nor the most technologically advanced, but their adaptability, teamwork, and intelligence made them formidable in a way no one had anticipated. Captain Myra Solon noticed a Hulth squad attempting to flank her team's position. She signaled a counter move. Private Tan activated a decoy device, drawing the Hulth into a narrow canyon. The humans then circled the canyon, securing the resource node and trapping their rivals without a single confrontation. Admiral Zorvek's eyes narrowed. This is not luck. They are not improvising blindly. They anticipate. They learn. Every action builds on the last. They are evolving faster than we imagined. As the final phase of the trial approached, only a few teams remained competitive. The humans controlled more objectives than any other team and maintained their positions with steady discipline. The other competitors began to realize that conventional strength and flashy tactics could not overcome the humans' unity and adaptability. Last challenge required the capture of a central command node guarded by a simulated fortress. The fortress had multiple layers of defenses, including energy shields, moving barriers, and automated security drones. Most teams attempted direct assaults, resulting in repeated failures and wasted resources. Captain Mira Solon evaluated the situation quickly. "Direct attack will cost too much," she said to her squad. "We use their own defenses against them. Follow my lead." The humans split into small units. Lieutenant Patel and Private Tan manipulated the outer security systems, creating openings. Sergeant Rios led a diversionary maneuver, drawing attention away from the true path. Mira herself advanced to the final control console, coordinating the timing of each movement. In perfect synchronization, the humans bypassed the main defenses and secured the command node with no losses. The arena erupted. Spectators cheered and shouted, many unable to contain their astonishment. The humans had achieved what seemed impossible. They had outmaneuvered and outsmarted every other team on the field. The scoreboard confirmed it. Team Earth, victorious. Captain Mira Solon removed her helmet, revealing a calm, composed expression. She looked up at the council balcony, her eyes meeting Admiral Zorvek's gaze for a single moment. She offered no boast, no triumphant smile, only quiet dignity. In the council chamber, the leaders were silent. The weight of the humans' performance had settled heavily on them. For the first time, the galaxy had witnessed the full potential of Earth's soldiers. Respect was immediate, but it was accompanied by an uneasy awareness. If humans ever chose to wield their abilities in real conflict, no species could assume dominance without careful thought. The Threx general, normally loud and brash, lowered his head in acknowledgement. "They are formidable," he muttered. The Hulth commanders exchanged wary glances. Even the Sithari shimmered more slowly than usual, a visual sign of contemplation and worry. Admiral Zorvek finally spoke. "Do not mistake courtesy for weakness. Humans may speak softly, but their actions carry weight. They learn from every encounter. They endure where others break. They act together as one mind. That is the danger the galaxy must recognize." In the arena, Captain Mira Solon gathered her team. "We have done what we came here to do," she said softly. "We have shown our skill, our unity, and our resolve. But more importantly, we have shown the galaxy what humans are capable of." The soldiers nodded. They understood the unspoken truth. Their victory was not just for themselves, not just for Earth, but for every human watching across the stars. They had earned respect and, in some corners, instilled a quiet fear. As the award ceremony commenced, Captain Solon accepted the emblem of honor for Team Earth. She spoke briefly, her voice calm and deliberate. "We are grateful to the Galactic Union for this honor. The games have tested us and we have learned as much as we have taught. Let this victory remind us all that strength is not measured by size or power alone, but by determination, intelligence, and unity." Her words were humble, yet every leader in the arena felt the weight of her meaning. Humanity was no longer a curiosity to be mocked. They were a species that demanded respect. As the humans departed from the arena, spectators continued to murmur. Across the council chambers and observation decks, conversations turned to strategy, preparation, and caution. The galaxy had laughed when humans first arrived. Now, that laughter had turned into something entirely different. Admiration, uncertainty, and a dawning realization of the humans' potential. Captain Mira Solon looked back one final time at the arena. The crystal walls reflected the stars, but also reflected the future. A future in which Earth's soldiers would be remembered, studied, and perhaps feared. She did not smile, for she did not need to. The quiet strength of humans had already spoken louder than any words or celebrations ever could. As the Galactic Union contemplated the results of the games, one truth was clear. The age of underestimating Earth was over. Laughter had turned to respect, and respect had begun to carry the first seeds of fear. Across 100 worlds, the thought lingered in the minds of leaders and warriors alike. If these humans ever fought for survival or justice, no empire could sleep easily again. And in that quiet, endless stretch of stars, humans returned to their ship, ready to journey home. They had shown the galaxy their skill, their mind, and their unbreakable will. Face of the cosmos, for Earth, for its people, and for T.